The stars above Kale-9 burned like cold fire. Ships moved in silence, dancing between planets, carrying goods, peace, and sometimes war. It was supposed to be a peaceful year for the Galactic Union. No one expected the humans to be dragged into another war. Especially not Corporal Jace Wren. Jace stood inside a field hospital on the mining moon of Alari Prime. He was one of the Earth volunteers helping the Union's aid program. His job was to deliver medical supplies to refugees, nothing more. No weapons, no war. But that all changed when the Serax fleet attacked. The Serax, insect-like aliens with no emotions, had declared war over mineral rights. Without warning, they struck the colony. Explosions echoed across the surface. Buildings crumbled. Refugee camps turned into graveyards. Jace barely made it to shelter. The hospital was hit. Fires blazed. Wounded civilians screamed. Supplies were destroyed, including the one thing everyone forgot about, a special medicine only used by the Alari species. And that was when he saw her dot in the corner of the burning medical wing. An alien girl lay on the floor, pale and gasping for air. She was young, maybe his age, with glowing purple skin and soft silver eyes. Her nameplate read, Varen Sola, Diplomatic Intern. Her hands trembled as she reached toward a broken vial, her last dose of Ellerin, a rare bioserum that kept her immune system stable in human atmosphere. She was dying. Jace rushed to her side, checking her vitals. Her breathing was shallow, her pulse weak. I need Ellerin, she whispered, her voice broken and dry. It's gone. He looked around. Nothing remained. The hospital stores were vaporized in the attack. And Varen was one of the few Alari on this planet. No one else had the drug dot except. Jace reached into his pack. Earth had sent samples of cross-species meds for emergencies. Jace had been carrying a prototype hybrid dose created by human scientists as a universal immune booster. It wasn't meant for Alari, but it was all he had. He paused. The drug was valuable. It had been synthesized using rare components and was supposed to be saved for Union officers. If he gave it to her, he'd have none left for himself if injured. She looked at him again, her eyes pleading. But silent. Without another word, he opened the vial. Virene's eyes widened. You're giving it to me? She whispered, barely able to sit up. Jace nodded. I'm not going to let you die here. He carefully injected the serum into her arm. She flinched, and then her body tensed. For 10 long seconds, she didn't move. Then she gasped, her chest rising in a deep breath. Her skin slowly regained its glow. Her hand stopped trembling. She was alive. Tears welled in her silver eyes. She looked at him, unable to speak. But her hand reached for his, grateful, scared, and deeply confused. Suddenly, the comms unit buzzed. Jace grabbed his radio. Medical station reporting. Any survivors out there? This is command. Serax troops landing. Evacuate now. Enemy ground forces incoming. The war wasn't over. It had only begun, but Jace looked down at the girl, whose life he just saved, and realized this war wasn't going to be like any other. There was more at play here, something no one in the Union had expected. Asterisk sirens screamed across the base. Red lights flashed. The air was filled with smoke and fear. Jace held Varen close as the ground shook under their feet. Somewhere above, the Serac ships were dropping more troops. Varen tried to stand, but her legs were still weak. Go, she whispered. Save yourself. Jace shook his head. We leave together. You're not staying behind. He pulled her arm around his shoulder and helped her walk toward the emergency exit. The hospital roof had collapsed, so they had to move through the lower tunnels. Jace's boots crunched over broken glass and debris. Behind them, the moans of wounded people filled the air. Others were trying to escape too, but not everyone would make it. Outside, the evacuation pods were loading civilians. A Union officer shouted, "This is the last transport off the moon. 1 minute until launch." Jace turned to Varen. "We're going to run. Stay with me," she nodded slowly. Her strength was returning, but barely. Jace gripped his rifle with one hand, her hand with the other, and pushed forward through the smoke. A Serax warrior dropped down from a transport ahead. Its hard chitin armor shimmered in the firelight. The alien hissed and raised its weapon. Jace fired first. His shot hit the creature in the chest. It staggered but didn't fall. Jace fired again. This time, the alien dropped, hissing as green blood spilled on the floor. "Go!" Jace shouted. They reached the ramp of the evacuation shuttle just as it began to close. A soldier tried to stop them. "We're at capacity." "She's Alari," Jace snapped. "Diplomatic status." The soldier hesitated, then nodded. "Hurry." Jace pulled Varen aboard as the doors slammed shut behind them. The ship shuddered, and the engines roared. Outside, Serac soldiers fired at the escaping craft. The shuttle rocked as explosions lit up the sky. Then, with a final burst, it broke through the smoke and lifted off into space. JHCE slumped against the wall, breathing hard. Varen lay beside him, still weak but stable. "You didn't have to do that," she said softly. "I did," Jace replied. "I'm not the kind of human who walks away." The pilot's voice came over the intercom. "All passengers secure. Plotting course to Outpost Theta." Outpost Theta was a hidden station far from the front lines. A safe place for now. Varen looked at him, her silver eyes full of questions. "Why did you really help me?" "That drug was important. It could have saved your life later." Jace looked out the window, watching the stars pass. "Because one life is worth more than a bottle. And I couldn't let you die alone on that floor." She stared at him quietly. No one in her own government had tried to help her. No one but this strange, brave human. Then she asked a different question. "Do you always risk everything for others?" He gave a small smile. "We call it being human." She didn't smile back, but her expression softened, and her hand gently touched his. "Then I'm glad you were the human who found me." As the shuttle jumped to hyperspace, a new thought came to Jace. This wasn't just about war. Something bigger had begun. He had saved her life, but it might change both of their futures forever. And somewhere deep in space, the Seracs were not finished. They had a reason for attacking Alari Prime, and it wasn't just minerals. Asterisk. The shuttle docked at Outpost Theta after 6 silent hours in hyperspace. Orbiting a cold gas giant, the outpost was a forgotten research station, now turned into a secret refuge for displaced Union officers and civilians, few in the galaxy knew of its location. That was the point. As the ship's ramp opened, Jace helped Varen walk again. Her breathing was better now. Her steps were stronger, but she still leaned on him. The outpost was quiet and cold. Steel corridors, dim lighting, and the distant hum of machines gave it a haunted feeling. Soldiers stood guard at every corner, rifles ready, eyes watching. A Union officer stepped forward. "Name and status?" "Jace Wren, Earth Defense Volunteer, Medical Runner, Alari Prime." The officer looked at Varen. "And her?" "Varen." Straightened a little. "Varen Sola, Diplomatic Trainee for the Alari High Council." The officer's eyes widened. He stepped aside. "You're both clear. Take her to Medbay 2. She be monitored for recovery. You debrief room, then quarters." Jace nodded, but he didn't want to let go of Varen's hand. He turned to her. "I'll check on you as soon as they let me." Her silver eyes met his. "I'll wait." As Jace was led away, Varen was moved to the medbay where quiet machines scanned her body. The nurse, a human woman, was kind and gentle. She placed an oxygen band around Virene's arm. "You were lucky," the nurse said softly. "That hybrid dose isn't meant for Alari, but it worked." "Somehow," Virene nodded, "it saved me." "And the man who gave it to you?" the nurse asked. "He didn't even think twice," Virene whispered. "Why would a human do that for someone he doesn't know?" The nurse smiled. "That's just how they are." Meanwhile, Jay sat in the debriefing room. Two officers in plain uniforms asked questions. What had he seen on Ilari Prime? What did he know about the Serax attacks? Why was a Serax warrior targeting the medical wing? "I don't think it was random," Jay said. They knew Virene was there. The officers exchanged a look. "Why do you think that?" "She wasn't just any Ilari," Jace replied. "She had a diplomat's clearance tag. If the Serax wanted to make a statement, killing her would have done it." One officer leaned forward. "Did she say anything about why she was there?" "Only that she was a trainee. But I think she knows something more." The officers paused. "You're to stay on base. No missions. No contact outside the outpost." Jace frowned. "Why?" "You're involved in something sensitive." "And?" "She's not just a diplomat in training. Her family has influence." Later that night, Jace snuck into the medbay. He had to see her again. Virene was sitting up, staring at a screen showing Ilari's son. Her skin looked brighter now. Her hair, a soft wave of silver, was tied back. When she saw him, her face lit up not with a smile, but with calm relief. "You came," she said. "Of course I did," Jace replied. "I heard you're a VIP now." Virene gave a quiet laugh. "Not really, but they think the Serax wanted me dead." "They're not wrong," Jace said. A long silence passed between them. Then she spoke quietly. "There's something I didn't tell you. I wasn't just on Ilari Prime for training. I was sent to deliver something." Jace leaned in. "Deliver what?" Virene looked around. "A diplomatic message. When my people didn't want going through official channels. It was about the Serax, about a secret deal they made with another race. Something went wrong." Jace's stomach turned. "You think that's why they attacked?" "I think I was the message. Or maybe the target." They both stared at each other. The war wasn't just about resources. It was about betrayal, secrets, and maybe Virene held the key to stopping it. "We need to find out what's in that message," Jace said. "But I lost the data crystal when the hospital was hit." She whispered. "JACE stood. Then we're going to get it back." Asterisk, the plan was insane. That's what every officer at Outpost Theta said. "Going back to Ilari Prime?" One commander barked. "You barely escaped last time." But Jace didn't care. If the data crystal Virene had carried was important enough to trigger a surprise war, then it had to be recovered. It might explain the truth behind the Serax attacks and maybe stop more blood from being spilled. Virene stood beside him, her strength returning every day. Her silver eyes were sharp again, her tone calm and precise. "I remember exactly where. I dropped it," she told him. "There was a desk drawer beneath the surgical cabinet. I slid it in when the explosions began." "That place is rubble now," Jace reminded her. "But rubble can be searched." The Union command refused to send a mission. The planet was under Serax control. Going back meant risking death. So Jace did what humans do best. He acted without permission. He found a small reconnaissance shuttle in Hangar C, one barely used and low on tracking systems. He grabbed 2 environment suits, emergency rations, a light drone scanner, and a pulse rifle. When Virene asked him how he got the codes, he simply grinned and said, "Humans are creative." The launch was quick and quiet. No alarms. Just stars around them once again. Ilari Prime looked worse than before. Black smoke rose from ruined cities. Craters burned red with chemical fire. Serac ships hovered like vultures over the remains. The shuttle cloaked and descended on the Faz, far side of the colony ruins. They had only 1 hour before the cloaking field failed. Viren helped Jace guide the drone over the wreckage. The medical wing was almost completely destroyed, but part of the foundation remained. "That's the drawer," she pointed. "It's under that steel beam." Jace climbed out first. His boots touched ash and melted stone. Every breath smelled like burning metal. The silence was heavy, too heavy. They moved fast. Viren stayed behind to monitor the scanner while Jace used a small cutting torch to lift the beam. His hands shook from the heat. Time was running out. "There!" he shouted. Inside the crushed cabinet was the small, green glowing crystal. It was slightly cracked, but still whole. He held it up. "Got it." Just then, the scanner beeped. 3 Serax warriors, northwest corner, moving fast. Viren cried out. They didn't wait. Jace grabbed the crystal and ran. The shuttle's camo cloak was flickering, its power draining. A Serax drone swooped overhead, catching a partial signal. Red lights blinked. JACE fired at the drone. The shot hit, but it alerted the others. The Serax came into view, tall, armored, clicking in rage. JACE shoved Viren inside the shuttle just as the enemy fired. One bolt grazed his shoulder. He winced, pain flashing white in his vision. "Launch now," he shouted. The shuttle lifted fast. A shockwave from a Serax cannon rocked them, but they kept going, faster, higher. Jace gritted his teeth as Viren grabbed a bandage pack and wrapped his shoulder. "You idiot," she whispered. "You could have died." "But I didn't," he said through clenched teeth. "And we got it." Back on Outpost Theta, the crystal was placed in a secure reader. Jace sat beside Viren as the screen blinked to life. A recorded message played. An Ilari High Ambassador appeared, her face tight with fear. "If this message is found, know this. The Serax have broken the Harmony Pact. They are forming a secret alliance with a rogue species outside the Union. They intend to use bioweapons, enhanced by Ilari DNA samples they stole from our research stations. The war is a cover. We believe a traitor inside our council helped them." Jace sat back, stunned. "They're building weapons using your species?" Viren nodded slowly. "That's why they targeted me. And why they destroyed the planet. And why we have to warn the Union," Jace said. "Before more planets burn." As the message ended, a quiet alarm beeped. Viren looked at the outpost system. Her face went pale. "Jace, the signal from the shuttle, it was tracked." Outside, red lights flashed across the outpost walls. The Serax were coming. The red lights pulsed like a heartbeat. Loudspeakers crackled across Outpost Theta as the defense system roared to life. "Alert! Multiple unidentified vessels approaching. All personnel to battle stations." Jace jumped from his seat. Viren stared at the warning signal, her face tense. Outside, sirens screamed. The Serax had found them. Their stealth shuttle had been tracked after all. "How many ships?" Jace asked, grabbing his rifle. The comms officer replied quickly, 4 destroyers. No time to call for reinforcements. They're jamming signals. We're on our own. Viren turned to Jace. "We need to protect the crystal." "No," Jace said, tightening his grip on his weapon. "We need to get you out of here." "But no argument," he said sharply. "You're the target. You carry the truth. If you fall into their hands, they'll destroy the evidence and you." Outside, the ground shook. The first Serax dropships hit the surface, sending shockwaves through the structure. Screams echoed through the halls. Troops ran past them, taking defensive positions. Blasts from plasma weapons lit up the corridors. Jace pulled Viren into a secure hallway. There's a back hangar, an escape pod bay. They'll expect us to stay inside the bunker, not run. She looked at him. There's barely any shielding on those pods. I know, but it's our only shot. Together, they rushed through. The crumbling corridors, debris fell from the ceiling. Sparks flew from broken lights. A Cerex drone spotted them, firing a bolt that scorched the wall just inches from Jace's head. They reached the hangar. Only 2 pods remained. Wait, Viren said, pulling out the data crystal. We should split up. If we're both captured, everything's lost. Jace's eyes widened. No, I'm not leaving you. She touched his arm gently. Then take this. If something happens to me, the truth lives on through you. He stared at the crystal in her hand, hesitating, then finally accepted it and slipped it into his jacket. The doors burst open behind them. A Cerex warrior stepped through, taller than the others, covered in deep red armor. Its eyes glowed. With hate.viren shoved Jace. Go! The Cerex raised its arm weapon, aiming at Jace. Viren screamed and stepped in front, taking the hit. The bolt hit her side. She collapsed. Jace yelled, firing wildly, his shot slamming into the Cerex's chest. The alien staggered, then fell hard. He dropped beside Viren, blood on her uniform. No, 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 she coughed, her voice weak. Still breathing. You're going with me, he said, lifting her into his arms. With a final sprint, Jace reached the pod and slammed the hatch shut. Plasma blasts echoed as the doors sealed. He hit the launch button. The pod exploded from the hangar, streaking into the atmosphere as the outpost burned behind them. Inside the pod, Jace held her close. You're going to be okay, he whispered. Viren's voice was faint. I'm tired. He reached into the med kit. Only one auto-injector remained, a healing stim, not as powerful as the serum she needed. He injected it into her arm. Stay with me, Viren, please. Her eyes opened slowly. You humans, always so stubborn, and you Alari, always so dramatic. She smiled weakly. The pod drifted into deep space, silent and cold. The nearest friendly station was days away. But in Jace's jacket was the crystal, and in his arms was the girl. He refused to let die. The escape pod drifted silently through deep space. No comms. No weapons. No food left. Only Jace, Viren, and the small green crystal that could change. The fate of the galaxy. Viren lay wrapped in a thermal blanket. Her skin was pale again, her breathing soft but weak. The healing stim had only slowed the damage. She needed real Elari medicine, and soon. Jace sat beside her, staring at the pod's low battery warning. They had maybe 12 hours before life. Support failed. He gripped the crystal in his hand. You risked everything for this, Viren blinked slowly. I didn't think anyone would help me. Not until you. You don't need to thank me, Jace whispered. We're in this together now, she tried to smile. You sound like a soldier. I'm just a medical runner who didn't want to let someone die on the floor. They shared a quiet moment before a sudden beat broke the silence. Ping. Proximity alert. Vessel detected. Jace jumped to his feet. A ship was nearby. He opened the pod's small viewer. A vessel approached, sleek and black, with silver markings. It wasn't Cerex. It wasn't Union either. Then the signal came through. This is the Crimson Reach. Identify yourselves. Jace pressed the com. This is Corporal Jace Wren, Earth Defense. We're escaping a Cerex attack. We have critical Union intelligence and a wounded Elari on board. A pause. Then, prepare to dock. We're pulling you in. The pod shuddered. As it connected to the ship, the hatch opened. Armed figures in red and black armor stood waiting. Jace kept one hand on his rifle. She needs medical help. Now, a tall woman stepped forward. I'm Captain Sura of the Crimson Reach. This isn't a warship. It's a neutral relief cruiser. We pick up survivors, no sides. Then you'll help her, Jay said. Sura studied him. You're the human from Ilari Prime, the one who gave his last dose to save an alien girl. How do you know that? She nodded toward a soldier. The Union has been sending out your story, hoping to inspire resistance. Some call you a fool. Others call you a hero. Jace didn't care. Just save her. They brought Viren to the medbay. Alien doctors worked quickly, injecting her with a synthetic version of Ellerin. She stabilized after 10 long minutes. She make it. The lead doctor said. Jace let out a breath of relief. Captain Sura pulled him aside. Now, show me the data crystal. Jace hesitated. Why should I trust you? Because we're not Union, and we're not Serax. We're the only ones left in the middle, and this war is about to get worse. Jace handed her the crystal. She plugged it into a secure terminal. The message played again. The ambassador. The betrayal. The plan to use Ilari DNA for bioweapons. Sura's eyes narrowed. I knew it. The Serax want to become something else. Something more dangerous. And someone in the Union helped them, Jace added. We have to get this to the Galactic Council, Sura said. But they won't listen to me. They will listen to you. Jace looked at her, surprised. Why me? Because you're human. You saved an alien. You risked your life without orders. You became a symbol. Jace turned to see Viren resting peacefully in the med-bed. That her asked to be a symbol. But now, he might be the only one who could expose the truth. He nodded. Set course for Council Station. Captain Sura smiled. Already on it. But just as she turned to give the order, a message flashed on the screen. Incoming transmission, Serax origin encrypted. They were being watched, even now. The Serax weren't done. The Crimson Reach cut through space at maximum speed. Inside the bridge, Jay stood beside Captain Sura, watching as the encrypted Serax signal blinked across the screen. They hadn't attacked. Not yet. They're warning us, Sura said. Quietly. They know what we carry. And they want to scare us into silence. Jace looked at the glowing crystal in her hand. It's too late for silence. In the medbay, Viren was awake. Her skin had regained its color, her breath steady. Now, she looked stronger, calm, and focused. When Jace walked in, she sat up straighter. I heard you're taking us to the Galactic Council, she said. He nodded. They have to know what's coming. Viren reached for his hand. And you're the one who's going to tell them. Not me, but you're the diplomat. They'll never listen to me. I'm a trainee. My name doesn't carry weight. But yours. They already talk about you. The human who gave up his medicine for a stranger. The soldier who went back into fire to recover the truth. Jay sat beside her. I didn't do it. To be famous. I know, she whispered. That's why it matters. 20 hours later, the Crimson Reach docked at Council Station Prime, a massive ring-shaped city in orbit above a blue sun. Thousands of species lived and worked here. It was the heart of the Galactic Union. Security was tight. Soldiers escorted Jace and Viren through high halls and glowing corridors, leading them straight to the council chamber. 12 alien leaders sat in a wide circle. Humans, Ilari, Dralax, Jean, and more. Above them floated a translation drone, echoing every word in every language. Counselor Trevel, a tall Dralax with a scaled crown, looked down at Jace. You have evidence of Serax betrayal? Yes, Jace said, stepping forward. He placed the data crystal into the reader. The message played in silence. When it ended, the room was still. No one spoke. Then came the murmurs. The Serax were developing weapons? They violated the Harmony Pact? They stole Elari genetics. Trevel raised a hand. This is a serious accusation. Do you have proof this crystal is not faked? Captain Sura stepped forward. It was recovered from the ruins of Elari Prime. The ambassador who sent the message was confirmed dead in the Serax bombing. The girl they targeted, Varen Sola, is here. The council turned to Viren. She stood slowly, pain still in her movements, but her voice clear. They tried to kill me, twice, and they failed. Because a human shared his last dose of medicine. Because a human refused to leave me behind. And because a human believed the truth should live. The council went quiet again. Then Trevel stood. We will act. An emergency vote will begin. If what we saw is true, the Serax must be stopped. Another counselor spoke, a soft-voiced John Elder. And what of this human? Trevel looked at Jace. He risked everything for peace. He is. Not just a soldier, he is. The reason we still have a chance. Jace blinked, not sure what to say. But then Viren leaned closer and whispered, This war isn't over. But you may have just started the beginning of its end. Later, on the balcony outside the chamber, Jace looked up at the stars. Viren joined him, now wearing an ambassador's sash. She had been given full diplomatic rank. They'll need you, she said. And you? He asked. She smiled. I'll be where you are. If that's all right, he smiled back. Yeah, that's all right. She stepped closer. There's one more thing I didn't tell you. What? That medicine you gave me. It was made using human DNA. That's why it worked. He stared at her, surprised. Our species may be more alike than we thought, she added. Maybe that's why this bond happened. He didn't answer. He just took her hand, and above them, stars. Burned with silent fire. A human and an alien girl, once strangers, now symbols of hope, had just changed the galaxy. Together.